How do you win a war against an opponent with a massive budget? How do you steal market share from brands that are practically synonymous with sports? You don't fight them on their terms. In the global market from 2019 to 2024, Nike and Adidas, long considered untouchable, ceded 3 percentage points of share to challenger brands, according to McKinsey. These newcomers targeted niche markets, like designing specialized rock plate shoes for trail runners. They harnessed cultural marketing and delivered innovation you could actually see, not just read about in a press release. What was their exact playbook? The answer starts with understanding just how dominant the giants once were. For decades, Nike and Adidas shaped the world of sports. By 2019, their dominance seemed complete. Their logos covered the biggest stars. Their campaigns set the tone for global sports culture, and their products filled store shelves everywhere. They didn't just sell gear. They defined what it meant to be an athlete. Every move they made rippled through the industry, and for years it looked like no one could challenge them. But the numbers tell a different story. According to Euromonitor, from 2019 to 2024, the combined market share of Nike and Adidas fell from 27% in a $200 billion industry. 3 percentage points is substantial. That's billions of dollars in sales, lost to smaller, faster-moving competitors. So how did these titans, with deep R&D pipelines and global reach, miss the warning signs? The answer lies in the very strategy that made them powerful. By trying to serve every athlete, their products and messages became too generic to excite any group. Nike and Adidas built their empires on mass appeal, designing shoes and apparel that had to work for everyone, from Olympic champions to weekend joggers from Tokyo to Cleveland. Their marketing aimed to inspire on a global scale, but in the process it lost the sharp edge needed to truly connect with any single community. Meanwhile, the ground was shifting beneath them. While the giants focused on blockbuster athlete deals and massive campaigns, they overlooked the rise of niche communities with specialized needs. McKinsey's report on market trends highlights this exact shift. Segments like trail running, CrossFit, and Pickleball exploded in popularity, with dedicated consumers searching for brands that truly understood their unique requirements. Trail runners wanted shoes with aggressive lugs and rock plates. CrossFit athletes demanded footwear with flat, stable soles for lifting. Pickleball players looked for shoes designed for quick, lateral movements. These weren't just passing fads, they were growing subcultures with real buying power. Trust started to move away from the big brands and towards smaller companies that spoke directly to these groups. Nike and Adidas, built to move millions of pairs of the same shoe, simply couldn't pivot fast enough. Their supply chains were optimized for global scale, not for producing a few thousand pairs of a specialized model. Their marketing machines were designed for billion-dollar campaigns, not for sponsoring a local CrossFit event or building buzz in a pickleball Facebook group. In short, they were too big and too slow to react to the new rules of the game. The data makes it clear. Nike and Adidas didn't lose to one new giant. They lost to a swarm of focused challengers, each zeroing in on a different segment the incumbents had ignored. Their blind spot was underestimating the collective force of all these niche communities. When you add up the trail runners, the CrossFitters, the pickleball players, and countless other specialized groups, you find a massive market that once belonged to the giants. This shift didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen by accident. It was the result of a new strategy, one that flipped the old playbook on its head. So what did these challenger brands do differently? If you look at how challenger brands actually operated, their approach was anything but conventional. With smaller budgets and higher price tags, they were underdogs on launch day. Take On Running and Hoka. When they first appeared, their shoes looked nothing like the mainstream options. Hoka's oversized soles and On's hollow cloud-like pods stood out immediately. In a world dominated by sleek silhouettes and familiar designs, these shoes almost looked like mistakes. But this difference was no accident. Instead of chasing everyone with broad, feel-good slogans, these brands zeroed in on a clear, benefit-driven promise. On Running's Run on Clouds wasn't just a catchy tagline. It described the actual experience, tying directly to the unique design of the shoe. The message was specific, tangible, and instantly understandable. It didn't need translation or hype. You saw the pods, you heard the promise, and you knew exactly what On was offering. Hoka did the same with their oversized midsoles, making cushioning and support not just a feature, but a visible identity. These weren't just shoes, they were statements. Visible innovation became their calling card. While Nike and Adidas touted hidden tech, air pockets, and foam compounds you could only read about, challengers put their technology front and center. Hoka's thick midsoles and On's cloud tech pods weren't just engineering choices. They were marketing tools in plain sight. According to McKinsey, eye-catching design like this doubled organic social engagement. People talked about these shoes. Wearers became walking billboards, constantly fielding questions from curious friends and strangers. Word of mouth spread faster because the innovation was impossible to ignore. Distribution was another area where challengers broke with tradition. Rather than fighting for a sliver of shelf space in big box retailers, they focused on trusted touchpoints. Specialty running shops and direct-to-consumer websites became their primary channels. These were places where serious runners and athletes went for advice, and where brands could build real relationships with their core users. Winning over the staff at a specialty shop meant winning over the entire local running community. Selling directly online allowed brands to control the customer experience from start to finish, gather data, and create a sense of exclusivity. This targeted strategy paid off. McKinsey's research shows that challenger brands achieved a faster compound annual growth rate than the incumbents between 2019 and 2024. By focusing on visible innovation, sharp messaging, and trusted distribution, they didn't just survive, they thrived. They built credibility with the most demanding users first, then let that credibility trickle out to the mainstream. The giants were left playing catch-up, scrambling to recapture ground they never thought they'd lose. But product and distribution were only part of the story. The real battleground wasn't just about getting shoes on feet, it was about winning over hearts and minds. That's where the challenger's next move changed everything. Winning the culture war meant meeting consumers where they actually lived, not just where the ads ran. Getting a product on the shelf was no longer enough. Brands needed to earn a place in people's lives. Challenger brands understood this, and instead of relying on the old model of paying tens of millions for a global superstar, they found a different way. They showed up at neighborhood races and partnered with local clubs, making consumers feel seen rather than sold to. Research shows that 81% of consumers attend in-person events, highlighting just how much grassroots engagement matters over celebrity ads. This wasn't about plastering a famous face on a billboard. It was about building a real presence in communities, one handshake and one local event at a time. That authenticity was the secret weapon. By collaborating with artists and musicians who actually live the brand's ethos, and by supporting run clubs in major cities, these brands became more than just products. They became part of the culture. People could spot the difference. Instead of feeling like outsiders borrowing credibility, these brands felt like genuine participants, investing in the same passions as their customers. Then a new opportunity emerged. The rise of name, image, and likeness (NIL) deals in college sports changed the landscape for challenger brands. McKinsey noted that college athletes, with their growing influence on social media, offered brands a cost-effective way to reach highly engaged audiences. Instead of competing for established pros, challenger brands could partner with rising stars, athletes like Caitlin Clark or Livy Dunn, long before they became household names. These partnerships weren't just cheap alternatives. They gave brands access to athletes with dedicated, passionate fan bases and authentic voices. The real advantage wasn't just about cost. College athletes brought something even more valuable: trust. When these athletes posted about a product, they consistently outperformed many paid influencers in both reach and credibility. Consumers saw them as relatable and trustworthy, real people whose performance depended on the gear they wore. This authenticity drove purchasing decisions in a way that traditional celebrity endorsements could not. People wanted to buy from brands that felt honest, brands that shared their values and supported the communities they cared about. Community building was the final piece. Challenger brands didn't just buy ads, they built real relationships. They used targeted cultural marketing and networks of micro-influencers to create a groundswell of support. Instead of a faceless corporation, they became a movement, a group you wanted to join, not just a product you bought. This shift in strategy is why so many consumers started reaching for challenger brands over the giants they grew up with. It wasn't about nostalgia or habit anymore. It was about feeling like you belonged. The result? Challenger brands didn't just win customers, they built loyal communities that the giants struggled to reach. And as the market continues to shift, the playbook for success is being rewritten in real time. The future of sports merchandise will belong to brands that adapt quickly and think strategically. McKinsey's research points to a new reality. The most successful players must focus on both top-line innovation and bottom-line efficiency. Agility, authenticity, and a real connection to core communities are now the most valuable assets. The giants, like Nike, still secure global partnerships, such as their recent deal with South Africa Rugby, but that alone won't guarantee continued dominance. To compete in this changing landscape, They must learn to act small, move fast, and stay close to their customers. Brands that stay small at heart will write the next chapter in sports merchandise. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like and subscribe for more inside looks at sports business strategy.